Before she was Duchess Catherine, before the tiaras, the palace balconies, and the cameras that follow her every move, she was simply known as Kate. To the world, she seemed like the perfect fairy tale, the ordinary girl who caught a prince's eye and walked into a kingdom. That was the story sold to millions, you see, an image of a quiet, middle-class girl whose destiny was written only when she met William. But the truth is far more layered. Kate Middleton was never as ordinary as the world was led to believe. Her upbringing, her education, her family's wealth, none of it fits neatly into the story of a commoner plucked from obscurity. In fact, whispers have long suggested that her path toward royalty may not have been mere chance at all, but something carefully shaped, carefully prepared. And so we ask, was Kate's early life really humble? Or was she always destined to step into the crown's shadow? Tonight, we uncover the secrets of Catherine's beginnings, the hidden pieces of her personality, her ambitions, and her family's journey long before she ever became the Duchess of Cambridge. Today, Catherine, Princess of Wales, is one of the most recognized women in the world. She is admired not only as the wife of Prince William, the heir to the throne, but as a devoted mother of three, a global-style icon, and a respected senior royal whose grace under pressure has won her both headlines and hearts. She is the image of stability in a monarchy often defined by turmoil. Cameras capture her every move, the world watches her every appearance, and millions see her as the very embodiment of what the modern British monarchy should represent. But what we see now, the polished, poised Catherine standing at William's side, was not always her reality. Before the titles, before the palaces, before the endless scrutiny, she was simply Kate Middleton, a young woman with ambitions, bonds of her own, a student navigating university life, and the daughter of a family that carefully balanced privilege with a hunger for more. Her journey to royalty did not begin with a chance encounter at St. Andrews. It began much earlier, in the choices her family made, in the values instilled in her from childhood, and in the quiet resilience she carried long before she ever wore a crown. And yet, so little of this part of her life is ever truly discussed. The public knows the fairy tale, but the path leading to it remains largely hidden. To understand Catherine today, to understand her strength, her patience, and her ability to navigate the ruthless pressures of royal life, you must first know the story of who she was before. Because Catherine's life is not simply about marrying into royalty, it is about a woman who step by step transformed herself, through ambition, through determination, and through quiet endurance, into someone the world would one day call its future queen. Catherine Elizabeth Middleton was born on January 9, 1982, at the Royal Berkshire Hospital in Reading. To the outside world, her beginnings were modest. Her parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, both had careers in the airline industry. Michael worked as a flight dispatcher, while Carol was a flight attendant. Yet behind this ordinary image lay an ambition that would, over the years, transform the family's fortunes and open doors that few could have imagined at the time. In the mid-1980s, Carol launched Party Pieces, a mail-order party supplies company that quickly grew into a multi-million-pound business. The success of this venture elevated the Middletons from their modest airline roots into the world of the wealthy. By the time Kate was a teenager, the family was firmly established in an affluent corner of Berkshire, with the trappings of success, large homes, prestigious schools, and a lifestyle far from the working-class roots Carol herself had known. The Middletons were also not without aristocratic ties. Almost overnight, she was thrust from relative obscurity into the blinding glare of the world's media. The fairy tale image of the prince and the ordinary girl was irresistible to tabloids. Yet with it came relentless commentary, most of it unkind. The Middletons' background was dissected mercilessly. Despite their wealth, Kate was branded a commoner, unworthy of royal status. The media painted her as ambitious, calculating, even suggesting her mother, Carol, had engineered Kate's university choice to place her in William's path. And when William hesitated to propose, the ridicule turned sharp. She was cruelly nicknamed Weighty Katie, mocked for her patience, her loyalty, her supposed lack of career ambition. It was a brutal test, one that might have broken someone less resilient, but Kate's response was quiet determination. While William pursued his military training, she worked for her family's company, dabbled in fashion, and tried to live as normally as possible under impossible circumstances. She kept her composure, rarely spoke to the press, and projected an image of calm dignity, even as paparazzi hounded her every step. This was the central drama of her early adult life, a young woman balancing love with an ordinary man who just happened to be a prince, while simultaneously carrying the crushing weight of public judgment. It was a trial by fire, one that would shape her character and prove her strength long before she was ever called princess. The true turning point in Kate Middleton's story came in 2002 during a charity fashion show at St. Andrews. That night, Kate walked the runway in a sheer black dress, bold, unexpected, and utterly unforgettable. Among the crowd sat Prince William. In that single moment, the dynamics shifted. William, who had known Kate as a friend and flatmate, suddenly saw her in a different light. That spark, captured in whispers and frichard, he told endlessly since, marked the beginning of a romance that would alter the course of royal history. As their relationship grew, it was no longer confined to the cobbled lanes of St. Andrews. By 2004, photographs emerged of Kate and William on a ski trip in Switzerland. Overnight, the young woman who had once been simply a student became a global fascination. Paparazzi trailed her every move, tabloids dissected her every outfit, and the commoner dating a prince narrative exploded. Kate was still only in her early 20s, yet she was suddenly one of the most recognizable women in Britain. But fairy tales rarely unfold without struggle. In 2007, after years of speculation, William and Kate briefly split. The press pounced on the breakup, treating Kate's heartbreak like a spectacle. For many, it might have been the end of the story, but Kate handled the ordeal with a strength that surprised even her critics. She carried herself with quiet dignity, appearing in public smiling, calm, unbroken. And in that resilience, she revealed the steel beneath the surface, the very quality that would later define her as a royal. When the couple reunited later that year, their bond seemed stronger than ever. What had once looked like a university romance had matured into something far more enduring. The climax of this journey came in 2010, when William proposed during a trip to Kenya. In his hands was the sapphire and diamond engagement ring once worn by his mother, Princess Diana, a symbol heavy with history and expectation. By accepting it, Kate's life changed forever. No longer just the girlfriend, no longer weighty Katie, she was now the future queen consort of England. From the runway of a student fashion show to the moment she slipped Diana's ring onto her finger, Kate Middleton's transformation was complete. From a private young woman navigating love and ambition to a public figure poised to step into the most scrutinized role in the world. Through Michael's side, Kate's lineage connects distantly to Old English gentry, giving the family a subtle but notable link to the upper classes. And yet, Carol's background kept them grounded. Her mother worked at a jewelry counter, her father in a builder's firm. This unique blend of polished aspiration and working-class resilience would deeply shape Kate's character. Her childhood was a mix of stability and adventure. For a few years, the family relocated to Jordan, where Michael's job took them. Young Kate attended an English-speaking nursery school there, exposed to a global environment that broadened her worldview before she even turned 5. When the family returned to Berkshire, they settled into the rhythm of English country life, ensuring Kate and her siblings, Pippa and James, received the very best education. Kate was enrolled in elite schools, first at St. Andrews Prep, later at Down House, and eventually at the prestigious Marlborough College. Teachers and classmates described her as shy and somewhat awkward, but also sporty, hardworking, and academically capable. She excelled at hockey, tennis, and cross-country running, balancing her natural reserve with a competitive edge. But like many children, Kate faced challenges. As a toddler, she underwent head surgery after a minor accident, leaving her with a small scar still visible today. She also carried insecurities about fitting in among wealthier, more aristocratic peers. Yet behind the shyness, she had a playful streak. Friends recall her pranks, her laughter, and her ability to surprise those who underestimated her. This was the foundation of Catherine, a young woman shaped by privilege but also by quiet determination, resilience, and the ability to adapt, a quality that would later serve her well inside the unforgiving world of the monarchy. As Kate Middleton moved from her school days into young adulthood, the world around her began to shift. Gone was the shy girl tucked away in the relative safety of elite boarding schools. In her place emerged a young woman testing her independence, stepping carefully into the wider world. After finishing Marlborough College, Kate chose to take a gap year before university, something that would profoundly shape her outlook. She spent part of that time in Florence studying art history and traveled to Chile to take part in a Raleigh international expedition. These experiences pulled her out of her comfort zone, exposing her to new cultures, challenging her physically and giving her a taste of the independence she would soon need. Then came her arrival at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland, a decision that, in hindsight, would change not only her life, but the future of the monarchy. Initially enrolled to study history of art, Kate was just another student walking the cobbled streets of the university town. But fate, or perhaps careful circumstance, placed her in the same halls, the same lecture theaters, and eventually the same social circle as Prince William. At first, their relationship was nothing extraordinary, classmates, acquaintances, part of the same friend groups. But slowly, something more began to grow. Their bond strengthened after William switched to geography, yet they remained close. The turning point came during a charity fashion show, when Kate walked the runway in a sheer dress that caught William's attention in a way that transformed their dynamic. From that moment, whispers spread across campus. The prince had noticed Kate. But with royal attention came the crushing weight of scrutiny. The relationship blossomed in private, but the press soon caught wind. By 2004, photographs of Kate skiing with William on holiday circulated across the globe. In the aftermath of that engagement, the media narrative began to change. The same outlets that once mocked Kate as Weighty Katie now hailed her as a future queen-in-waiting, admiring her elegance, her poise, and her seemingly effortless ability to handle the spotlight. What had been doubts about her background melted into admiration for the grace with which she stepped into a role most would find unbearable. Kate adapted quickly to the rituals and expectations of royal life. She immersed herself in traditions, learned the delicate balance of duty and restraint, and carried the immense burden of public scrutiny without complaint. Where others had faltered under pressure, Princess Diana overwhelmed by relentless attention, Sarah Ferguson consumed by scandal, Kate's steady presence was striking. She did not rebel, nor did she crumble. Instead, she approached the monarchy as she had approached every stage of her life, with quiet discipline, composure, and a relentless work ethic. And it was her upbringing that made this possible. The stability of her family, the values instilled by her parents, and the resilience forged in her early years gave her the tools she needed. The girl once described as shy and reserved had become a woman of strength and steadiness, precisely the qualities the monarchy so desperately needed in an era of uncertainty. The consequence of her transformation was clear. Catherine was no longer just Kate Middleton, the girlfriend who had waited. She had become an anchor within the royal family, a woman whose grace and endurance began to heal old wounds, restore public faith, and prepare her to one day stand at William's side as queen. Kate Middleton's journey makes one truth impossible to ignore. She was never an accidental royal. From the very beginning, her life carried the foundation needed for the role she now holds, the discipline instilled by her parents, the resilience forged in her childhood, the composure learned in the face of relentless scrutiny, all of it prepared her for a destiny that seemed, on the surface, improbable. It is almost impossible not to look back with wonder. The shy girl walking the halls of Marlborough College, the student striding nervously into St. Andrews, the young woman mocked by tabloids as Weighty Katie. She is the same figure who now stands as Princess of Wales and the future Queen Consort of England. Her transformation is not the tale of chance, but of quiet strength, patience, and an ability to endure where so many others could not. And yet, her story is still being written. The open question remains: how will history remember Catherine? Will she be celebrated as the so-called commoner queen, a symbol of accessibility in a royal family long accused of distance? Or will she be honored as something more? The woman who, with dignity and grace, quietly reshaped the monarchy from within. For now, one thing is certain: the girl once underestimated has become the woman who embodies the crown's greatest hope, and the world watches, in suspense, to see the legacy she will leave behind.